How's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula, and welcome to another Pokémon Go discussion video. Okay, so this weekend is going to be Roggenrola Community Day, and I have to say I am deeply disappointed with how Niantic is handling it. I think when it comes to community days, Niantic is completely missing the mark. I'm going to be explaining why I plan to skip this community day in this video, so let's roll the intro and get right into it. So I'm going to be honest with all of you, community days have been absolutely terrible this year in my opinion. It really feels like these monthly events have been on a decline for a while now, and Niantic needs to do something about it. While I was on a holiday last week, the announcement for Roggenrola Community Day dropped, and I assumed the new move Meteor Beam would at least make Gigalith interesting. I mean, why would Niantic have an uninteresting Pokemon like Roggenrola be the spotlighted Pokemon? Surely, they would justify it by giving it an exclusive move that would elevate it to near top tier levels. I didn't really look into it while I was out of town, but after taking a deep hard look into that exclusive move, I cannot overstate just how disappointed I am. I'm not sure if Niantic is treating September Community Day as a filler, but it sure feels like it. We are likely going to be getting Litwick as the October Community Day, which is definitely going to be one of the most hyped community days this year, so I can understand why Niantic would want a less exciting Pokemon for the month beforehand. That way, players don't feel burnt out by having two high-pressure community days in a row. However, I don't agree with that at all. I don't think it is ever going to be harmful for the game or the community if we had super hyped community days every single month back to back. The reason why I say this is because that's how it used to be, and it was great for Pokémon Go and the community when it was like that. Back in the day, it seemed like every single community day vastly improved the spotlighted Pokémon through the exclusive move. Meteor Mash Metagross, Frenzy Plant Venusaur, Smackdown Tyranitar, Hydro Cannon Swampert, just to name a few. It just seemed like Community Day was the landmark event that players could always look forward to. But nowadays, we have so many community days that are just not worth the time and effort. A typical community day in 2022 can be described like this. The announced Pokemon is one that nobody asked for to be a community day, the exclusive move is merely a side grade for that Pokemon, and the shiny is something that's been in the game for a while. This is definitely the case for Roggenrola. Mystic7 mentioned in one of his most recent videos that it really seems like Niantic has gone all in on PvP Pokemon this year when it comes to Community Day, and I agree with him. It really seems like Niantic is going in that direction, much to the chagrin of most Pokemon Go players who could care less about PvP. The problem is that even for PvP enthusiasts, the Community Days have been a massive disappointment. Almost every single one of the Community Day Pokemon aside from Walrein barely made a dent in any of the Go Battle League metas. Even in the case of Walrein, it eventually fell off really hard with the big nerf to Icicle Spear. Thus, it doesn't feel like any of the Community Days mattered at all this year from a gameplay point of view. Honestly, I don't have a problem with Community Days being PvP focused, but the moves need to make an impact. In my opinion, the Go Battle League meta should continuously shift based on each community day, but other than Walrein, we've never seen this happen at all this year. Sure, we had some standouts that can't be ignored. Dino Community Day was pretty hype, Litwick would be really hype, and the Community Day Classics brought back really good ones from the past, but these were very few and far between. The overall sentiment around these monthly events this year have been disappointment after disappointment. I think Niantic needs to realize that community days are a great opportunity to keep the game and the player base invigorated. If you're going to focus on PvP-centric Pokemon, then each of the exclusive moves should make a lasting impact on the game. Like I mentioned, the meta should continuously shift based on these community days. That way, the Go Battle League is constantly shifting and staying competitive. And I know I'm speaking for a lot of people when I say this, but we need to have more PvE community days like what we used to get back in the day. The exclusive move should push a lot of Pokemon to top tier raid attacker status, and it should drive players to continuously spend time, money, and resources to stay ahead of the curve. This is how it felt back in the day when we got community days like Meteor Mash Metagross, Smackdown Tyranitar, Rock Wrecker Rhyperior, Outrage Salamence, Earth Power Flygon, etc. The one thing we would always see is a vast improvement to that Pokemon for raids through the exclusive move. Sure, there were definitely community days that had head-scratching bad moves, but those were the ones that were far and few between. It seemed like every Community Day exclusive move would at least improve the Pokemon a significant amount for raids, even if it wasn't enough to elevate them to top tier status. I feel like not a single Community Day Pokemon this year saw a vast improvement in their capabilities as a raid attacker. There were some Pokemon that got a slight bump, but most of the exclusive moves have been lackluster and overall useless in raids. Just to kind of reiterate what almost every other content creator has been saying, Niantic needs to realize that more people raid over PvP in this game, and Community Days featuring massive improvements to a Pokemon's potential as a raid attacker would most certainly generate a lot of hype for the game overall. But for nearly every Community Day this year, it just seemed like Niantic missed out on a lot of potential, and it's really disappointing to see. Now, aside from the issues behind the exclusive moves, I think another major problem with Community Days this year have been the Pokemon themselves. Other than Dino, I don't think there was a single Community Day Pokemon that got players excited. So far this year, we had Spheal, Hoppip, Sandshrew, Stuffle, Alolan Geodude, Dino, Starly, and Galarian Zigzagoon as the featured Pokemon, with Bulbasaur and Mudkip for Community Day Classic. Other than Stuffle and Starly, all of these Pokemon had their shiny forms in the game prior to their Community Day. Niantic has failed to realize just how positive it was for these events and the community sentiment behind them whenever they introduced new shinies through them. We also haven't had any starter Pokemon featured for Community Days in a while. Aside from Community Day Classic, 2022 might be a year where no starters get a Community Day. I can understand why Niantic would hold off on having a starter Pokemon Community Day, considering we pretty much caught up to the current generation, but not even having one this year was a huge mistake. Giving starter Pokemon a Community Day is always going to add a lot of flavor to both raids and PvP. This is because the Community Day exclusive moves Blast Burn, Frenzy Plant, and Hydro Cannon are typically the best move for that Pokemon. But since we didn't get any this year, it just amplifies all of these problems without creating an exception. So yeah, all of the issues around Community Days that I talked about so far in this video, pretty much all of them apply to Roggenrola. That's why I plan to skip it, because I just don't think it's worth my time and energy to go hard on Community Days anymore. Maybe the October and November Community Days will change my feelings on this, but for now, I just don't seem to care. I think it will all come down to exciting Pokemon, good bonuses, a cool and unique shiny, and of course, a really good exclusive move. Niantic really has their work cut out for them if they want to make Community Days relevant again, and I'm hoping they turn the ship around in 2023. Otherwise, these events are probably going to die out and be a thing of the past, at least in the minds of the Pokémon Go community. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. But what are you thinking regarding the current state of Community Days? Are you looking forward to Roggenrola, or are you disappointed? Let me know down below, and let's have a great discussion. And if you end up enjoying this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then be sure to check out the links in the description below. For all of my patrons, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way, like with remote raids, then do consider becoming a patron on my Patreon. But yeah, that's going to be it. I'm Count Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.